I greet you all today, and I'm going to share with you this wonderful presentation about Vlookup. It's going to be a brief one, and I am going to try my best to make it as simple as possible. So I'm going to have a set of data. I'm going to create a set of data which I'm going to use to explain Vlookup. Okay, so let me get my data. So this is the situation we have, and most likely we are not so sure. Okay, here we have only 10 products, as you can see here, only 10 products. But let's assume that you could be having 100,000 products around here, and you want to pick only one product, and that product is what the customer has brought on our desk for us to process and charge the customer, and of course give a receipt to the customer. So this is the point at which you're supposed to make to recognize the price, and at the same time you're supposed to provide a receipt for that particular transaction. But our main problem now, we don't know the price, so we're supposed to capture the price. After knowing the price, then we're able to proceed with the next step of charging the customer, make the payment, and provide the receipt. So our biggest hurdle now is to know the price. But how do you know the price? We must get the price from our database here. Okay, so this is when the Vlookup becomes very, very important. So we need to use a Vlookup to capture to extract the price from this particular database. But there's one thing which is very important to know, is that when you're using a Vlookup, the item that you're trying to search should be on the extreme left. So for instance, now that I'm using a product ID, okay, here, then when I use a Vlookup, product ID is the first item here. So that's the first item I'm looking at here. So this is the first I'm going to focus on when I'm going to determine the price of this product called key. So what I will do, I'm going to put my cursor here, and I use a Vlookup function by saying equals Vlookup, open brackets. Then I state the kind of the value I'm trying to look up. The value I'm looking up is the product ID. This is the value I'm looking up, so I click product ID here. Then I put a comma. Then I tell the computer, where do you want the product ID to be searched from? I want it to be searched from my database. So what I will do, I will come to the database here, and I select from product 1, of course, up to the last product here. See what I've done? I've selected everything. Then I put a comma. Then after putting a comma, I have to tell the computer that in this product database, the product, the search item is the first column here. Okay, but what I want the computer to return is the last column here, because that's the price column that I'm interested in. So what I will do, I'll tell the computer that, okay, return the third column, that is number 1, 2, 3. So to return this third column here. So for the computer to do that, I'll put my third argument there is number 3. I say third column, so I put 3. Then I put comma. Okay, I put comma. Then after doing that, I have to tell the computer whether I want the exact value, I want an approximate value. So for me to get the exact value, I'm interested in exact value. So I'll put the word false, because you can see here down the computer is giving options: true for approximate match and false for exact match. So I'll put false, Then I finish my argument, I close the brackets. Okay. But take note, for instance, if this sales component had many rows, then I'll need to scroll this through. So for me to scroll it through, I'll simply have to fix, but maybe I'll fix, so I'll highlight where the selection is, that in red there. I highlight all of it, then I press F4. It depends on the computer you're using. If you're using like my computer, you can just press F4. If you're using any other computer may be required to press function and F4. So when you do that, the dollar signs will appear to show that that particular selection has been fixed. Then after I've done that, just click enter, and as you can see, the outcome here is 32, which is the price for a key, which is down here. You can see it is 32,000. Okay, 32,000. Now this can work depending on the kind of product that what I press here. For instance, I can scroll down to the next row, because it is showing not applicable. But once I place the product ID here I want, it will give me the answer. So for instance, if I say product ID 3, so I say product ID 003, here's what happens. It will give me 50,000. But because this one here, this 50,000 here, okay, and this is of course soft flour, okay. Now take a note of what I said earlier, that what you're supposed to search should be at the extreme left. So take an example that in our search we do not have a product ID, instead we have a product name alone. Then the story changes. So this is what will happen. Let me show you. So here we are at the point of sale again. Point of sale again, and here we are. So as you can see, it is showing you not applicable, yet the formula is there. So what I will do, I'll go back and change the formula, but this time around, since my focus is on the product name, I'll make sure that my Vlookup has the last extreme left column as product name instead of product what? ID. Because remember, whatever I'm searching should be on the extreme left. So I'll come here and remove my formula, remove the formula here, and I rewrite the formula saying v equals to Vlookup. What am I looking for? A key. From where? From the database table. This time around, I'll make sure the database table is not, I don't include the product ID, because product ID now will make the whole system change. What I'm interested in is that the first column, the extreme left column, should be the column of the item I'm searching. So this item I'm searching is the product name. So I'll select the product name here. Now you can see I've not selected product ID, because this time around in my search section here, there's no product ID. As I told you, the search item, okay, on your search section, when you go to the database where the data is, it should be the extreme right, the last left column. And in this case, the last left column is the product what? Product name. That's why I've selected it that way. Then I click comma. But this time around, remember, since there are two columns, the return value is on the second column. So the name is the first column, the price is the second column. So instead of writing 3, I'll write 2, because I'm interested in the second column. Then again, I'll say false. Okay. Then again, the selection which I made of the database, which selection here, I will fix it like before by pressing F4 or function F4, depending on the computer you're using. Then I click enter. As you can see again, the price I'm getting is 32 like before. But remember, this time around I'm using a different search pattern. Here I'm using a product ID. Here I'm using the product name. Even soft flour will give 50,000. Okay, let me show you how it happens. See that? 50,000. Yeah, because of the change of the parameters of the search. Okay, even the database, in the database section, you have to change. So here you have to remember that there are some ground rules. Number one is that the item you are searching, okay, should be in the extreme left column of the database, or okay, or list of data you are searching from. So this one here, if this is the database or list of data searching from, when I'm using a VLOOKUP, the item which is here that I'm using as a search criteria in my database, when I'm selecting the item of the database to be considered in my formula, that particular search item should be the extreme left. Okay, so you can see now for the second scenario, much as this database has 3 columns, I selected 2 because what I wanted is the last extreme left column should be the search item here. Number 2, the database to search from must be on the left, must be on the left of the output table. What do I mean by this? That if I'm searching from this particular database here and my output is here, if I put this table before the database, the VLOOKUP will not work. So the only way the VLOOKUP can work, is if the database is on the left hand side of the output table. So remember, your output table must be on the right hand side, and the VLOOKUP, the database from which you are searching, must be on the left hand side. Those are the two conditions. So if this one goes on the right hand side and this one goes on the left hand side, even if you put VLOOKUP which is on the right hand side, the VLOOKUP will not work. You will try it on your own and establish this particular fact, but those are the ground rules for you to succeed in this VLOOKUP. Alright, I hope you have enjoyed this presentation and I wish you all the best.